1914 to 2014. 100 years of endeavor and sacrifice. 100 years of patriotism and activism. 100 years of purpose, commitment, and dedication. 100 years of coming together, working together, learning together, growing together, and building together. 100 years of staying united. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Nigeria Centenary Honors and Awards in recognition of extraordinary service and commitments to Nigeria by outstanding men and women who have shaped our history. Introducing our MCs for the night, Ebere Young and Moji Makonjola.
Your Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR, Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dame Dr. Patience Faka Jonathan, Mama Peace, Your Excellencies, visiting presidents and head of states here with us, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Architect Mohammed Namadi Sambo, GCON, Excellencies, Deputy Presidents of participating countries and their representatives here present, Your Excellency, former Presidents of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, distinguished Senator David Mack, Your Excellency, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Your Lordship, the Chief Justice of the Federation, distinguished senators here present, honorable members here present, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Your Royal Highnesses, our Royal Fathers here present, very distinguished awardees, Chairman of the PDP, Chairman of the Board of Trustees, very distinguished Nigerians, captains of industry, and members of the private sector, very distinguished and vibrant Nigerian media, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. For both pessimists and optimists, Nigeria has been, Nigeria is, and by the grace of Almighty God, Nigeria will continue to be a reality. We may come from diverse backgrounds, but there is unity in our diversity. We might have had challenges in the past. We may be experiencing challenges now, especially the senseless killing of our children, and generally all other challenges that we are having to cope with. But there is hope for a brighter future. We shall overcome in the face of diversity. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the amalgamation of Nigeria 100 years ago is not a mere coincidence. The amalgamation was by a divine coincidence. God wanted it that way. And the result is the coming together of a country full of potentials, full of promises, and full of industrious and talented people. I feel honored and very privileged to welcome you to this very special Centenary Award and Dinner Night. I am Moji Makonjola, and tonight with me is my fellow distinguished Nigerian brother, Ebere Young.
Thank you very much, Moji. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, after that brief history, it gives me great pleasure, Your Excellencies, to welcome you to the beautiful green land, the land of my birth, the land of tomorrow. Your Excellencies, I love to wax lyrically about my country, lying so cozily in the woolish couch of serenity, lost in the well of desire. Seeking, as she celebrates 100 years, to recall glory unbruised, desiring to reposition for high position. Your Excellencies, this dark giant on the divinely ordained throne of greatness is set the next 100 years to climb the pinnacle of matchless prosperity. It is therefore my honor and pleasure for a man of history who, along with the president of a wonderful country, is positioning this country for greatness and transformation in the next 100 years, as I invite His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Architect Mohammed Namadi Sambo, GCON, to welcome all of you.
Your Excellency, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Dem Patience Jonathan, Your Excellencies, our visiting head of states here present, Your Excellencies, Deputy Presidents, Your Excellency, Hajia Amina, my dear wife, Your Excellencies, our former presidents and head of states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, the Senate President, and Your Excellency, the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, Your Excellencies, Executive Governors and Deputy Governors here present, distinguished Senators, members of the National Assembly, members of the Federal Executive Council, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am most humbled and elated to be part of history in the midst of this distinguished gathering at this historic moment of the Centenary Award and Dinner Night, organized to honor our enduring patriots who have been adjudged to be worthy of recognition in their chosen fields of endeavors tonight. It was on the 1st of January 1914 that our union was concretized and our journey of nationhood began. Attainment of 100 years as a nation is a monumental milestone in our checkered history. At the launch of the Centenary project last year, Mr. President urged Nigerians to acknowledge the moment of our national birth as the beginning of the Nigeria's integration and existence as a single entity. Further to this, Mr. President also said, and I quote, "We owe it to ourselves, to the past and the future generations to tell our story, the story of our experience, our challenges, and most certainly our strides within the continent and the world. Similarly, to underscore the importance of the above, Mr. President further noted that to ignore the significant milestone along the path to this date will be to ignore the essence of our statehood and, most importantly, our most critical responsibility for the generations to whom we will entrust the management of our nation. As a mark of respect and to give honor to whom honor is due, celebrating patriotic acts has been embedded in our value system and has taken its pride of place in our national polity. Today, we are gathered here to celebrate our fellow compatriots. Mr. President, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I feel greatly honored to welcome you all to this important and historic event to celebrate these distinguished and patriotic Nigerians from all walks of life who have been meticulously selected. They are recognized in their chosen fields of endeavor, entrepreneurship, personal sacrifice, patriotism, and activism, governance, and leadership, among others. It is important to note here that these persons are by no means the only ones that should be celebrated. Indeed, Mr. President, there are many more worthy Nigerians, but as the saying goes, many are called, but few are chosen. We believe and hold dearly every Nigerian, and specifically these persons chosen. They symbolize the transformation of our beloved country as we enter yet another 100 years of our existence as a nation. On behalf of Mr. President and all those that have worked hard to bring this event to fruition, I welcome you all as we celebrate our centenary. Thank you, and God bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Of mine, Nigeria on my mind, born in diversity, blessed beyond compare. Ooh, through these 100 years, our strong.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank all of you for coming to celebrate our wonderful country. Let me also specially welcome here members of the Diplomatic Corps and all of you, Excellencies, governors of our different states that are here tonight. Our first performance at this very wonderful awards night will be coming from the children of this country. It's a performance that actually puts a golden touch to what we're doing here tonight. It is a performance by Nigerian children as we look forward to the next 100 years.
Again. This is motherland speaking. I've gathered you to remind you peradventure. You have forgotten that I am now a centenarian, 100 years old today, and I believe I deserve a befitting celebration.
What's all this ranting and all about?
Don't you know 100 years today? Centenary, that's what they call it.
So what?
And so what? What do you mean and so what? Shouldn't you celebrate?
My brothers, don't get yourselves mesmerized in this California impact.
Hey! What's that?
Well, it's another word for Centenary. You see, there's nothing over here that celebrate. Well, let's take the little countries were bid for as an example.
Hold it right there. Who are you to tell us that we have nothing to celebrate?
And what do you think you know about our nation, Mr. Developed Country?
Listen to me, fellow citizens. Only a fool will look at a great nation like ours and say we have nothing worth celebrating. When in the actual sense, we have 1,001 things to celebrate, being together this 100 years.
So, what reasons do we have to celebrate?
Join me on this trip down memory lane.
Our history in itself is a testimony of our greatness. For there was once a time when we were slaves in our own fatherland. But today, we've moved from slavery to become the most influential black country in the world. We are no longer just an independent country. We now have a nation where her citizens have a freedom of expression and her youth and children given a sense of belonging. Yes, we've experienced a lot of turbulence and instabilities through the years, but that's because we were still a growing nation. But today, we're better, we're wiser, and we're stronger. And despite all we've been through all these years, what have we become? The giant and the pride of this great continent, Africa, a land of a unique cultural heritage and a home of tourism. In the world of football, we've made and we are still planting indelible footprints in the sands of time. Our musicians now rank among the best in the world, and our movie industry has grown from nothing to becoming the third largest in the world. The list is endless. Isn't it obvious that our beauty is in our diversity and our strength is in our unity? If God has brought us together, then it can only get better. And that is why, despite all we've been through as a nation, What has consumed many nations of the world could not consume us, because we are blessed beyond the curse. For a nation God has blessed, no one can curse. We are one Nigeria, great promise.
Listen to me, fellow citizens. Don't be deceived. You see, in the developed countries,
Hey, you, Mr. Developed country, hold it there. This is Nigeria and not one of your so-called countries.
Let me even ask you, how is this your developed country?
well, maybe close to 300 years old.
Hey! 300 years! 300 years!
Yes.
See, Mr. Knows all. This is Nigeria. And we're just 100 years old. We're growing, we're developing, and we will get there. So stop comparing us to any other nation. You can either join the celebration or leave us alone. Leave us alone! Let the drum fall!
nation become our dreamland. What do you see in Nigeria?
I'm from the southeast Enugu State coast. I present my rich mineral resources to project our dear country to our glory. I'm from the southwest Lagos State, city of excellence. I present my seaport, international airport, and World Trade Centers to vault our dear country into the seat of greatness.
I am from the northwest, Sokoto State, city of the Caliphate. I've come with my mineral resources, cattle, hides, and skin to see our great country to our promised land.
I am from Benue State, the food basket of the nation. I'll supply my food to feed our nation.
I am from the northeast, Borno State, home of peace. Henceforth, we pledge to maintain peace in our great nation. I am from the south. Our earth is never run dry. I give it for us to make our country the world's greatest.
I see a Nigeria where the rich lend their shoulder to the poor and the destitute and less privileged truly find a place to call their home.
I see a Nigeria void of ethnic and religious rivalry, a home of peace and hospitality. I see a Nigeria where corruption is greeted with disdain, and the labors for our heroes past shall not be in vain.
I see in Nigeria standing tall in a community of nations so great that our children shall be proud to call her blessed.
Of course, our beauty is in our diversity, and our strength is in our unity.
Indeed, there is no place like home, and the land is greener where you water it. And together, in unity, we make bold to say, Happy Centenary! Happy Centenary! Happy Centenary! Happy Centenary! Happy Centenary!
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for these wonderful children, the future is indeed very bright. For these wonderful children, the current administration is looking to weed off insincerity, weed off all kinds of negatives, so the next 100 years will be one that will make them dance, rejoice, and shout about fatherland. Can we put our hands together for these wonderful Nigerian children as we celebrate our country?
A moment like this gives hope. A moment like this shows the oneness of Nigeria. and a historic night like we have today, celebrating the centenary of Nigeria, shows again our strength in diversity. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, here tonight we have with us all former presidents and heads of state of Nigeria. And I think they all deserve a round of applause. Their strength, their leadership, at every time they had ruled this country, had kept us one as the beautiful, envied Nigeria. And so tonight, let me, on your behalf, recognize that we have in our midst the young man who became head of state and whose name goes by Go On with One Nigeria, General Yakubu Gowon, here tonight with us. God bless you, sir. It is indeed with great joy and humility announce and introduce that we have with us former President Olusegun Obasanjo Babayabo. I thank you. Only a couple of days back, he turned 89. But age is no barrier for the love of serving this country. And so, as we wish him healthy and more useful life to Nigeria, please put your hands together for Alhaji Shehu Shagari, former president. I'd like to introduce, I think, the tallest in the group. Ladies and gentlemen, General Buhari. Next, I'd like to introduce a man whom we call several names, but the first military president of Nigeria, General Ibrahim Babangida. The strength of Nigeria is one that even the scholars are trying to find out and do research on. At this point, I'd like to introduce to you our father, Pa Shonekong. When the history of democracy is written about Nigeria, one man will stand tall all the time. He saw to the end of the military rule, and tonight is here to celebrate our democracy and our strength as a nation, General Abdulsalam Abubakar. Also with us this evening, proudly, let me introduce a man whose humility is the strength to hold everyone together, even when you think it will break. Former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Sir Alex Ekweme. With us tonight, we have with us the former deputy to the late President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, General Abacha, who tonight is represented by his amiable and ever young-looking wife. Let me introduce General Oladipo Jia. The strength of Nigerians to be their brother's keeper is so unique. That is the strength for which we are known. And one man that is holding that together with a wonderful foundation that is bringing succor to the poor and reducing diseases and giving hope to those who think that hope is lost. Please let's put our hands together for General T.Y. Danjuma. I'd like to call on Ebere Young for the next line of action. But before then, for me, it is an opportunity and a deep sense of pride to be a Nigerian.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, tonight, as we celebrate Nigeria, we also celebrate the future of this wonderful country. At this point, dinner is served, and as we do that quietly, as the ushers will go around, it's my honor and pleasure to welcome here to present to us a review of the book, The Reforms That Have Transformed Nigeria, 2010 to 2013. The review will be done by the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister for the Economy. Please welcome here Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, CFR.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Mr. President, Your Excellency, the First Lady, Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President and his lovely wife, Your Excellency, visiting heads of state, Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President, Your Excellency, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Excellencies, former heads of state, Your Excellencies, the Executive Governors, distinguished and honorable members of the National Assembly, members of the Federal Executive Council, distinguished awardees, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and I stand on existing protocol for the rest. It's a great pleasure and honor to be asked to say a few words tonight on the transformation of the country as encapsulated in a book to be presented to Mr. President and launched by him tonight. But before I talk about the transformation agenda, and since we're celebrating 100 years of our nation's history, let me just say a few words about 100 years of the economy. I'll start with the pre-independence times, where we had a colonial economy with development of basic infrastructure by our colonial masters. Nigeria was basically an agrarian economy with self-sufficiency in basic food items. Agriculture accounted for well over 50% of our GDP and, of course, more than 75% of our export earnings. Our basic function was as a place for extraction of goods, which were exported to the then mother country, the United Kingdom, and elsewhere. In the 60s, Nigeria became a dominant agricultural economy, an exporter of cash crops like rubber, oil palm, cocoa, and groundnuts. We had a growing manufacturing and agro-processing sector. Oil exports began at this time in the 60s. Our GDP growth averaged about 2.85%. And then in the late 60s, in 1967 to be exact, our economy was hit by civil war. In the 70s, agriculture and manufacturing declined, and Nigeria became very dependent on oil revenues. Our pattern of exports switched. with more than 90% of exports based on oil, and more than 75% of government revenue also from oil. At this time, borrowing increased to finance post-war reconstruction of infrastructure, and the post-war reconstruction and the oil boom fueled GDP growth, which averaged 7% during the decade of the 70s. And then in the 80s, the oil price fell. The economy fell into recession, and GDP growth averaged actually minus 1.42%, meaning the economy contracted at a time that our population growth was averaging 2.6%. We became heavily indebted and couldn't pay. We had to reschedule our debts. For the first time, Nigeria was classified really as a low-income country. Our standard of living fell precipitously as our per capita income dropped from $870 in 1980 to $260 per capita in 1989. In the 90s, we recovered a little, but not so much, because economic instability continued. We had high episodes of inflation, which averaged more than 72% in 1995, for example. Oil continued to account for over 90% of our exports. Our debt burden worsened, and we occasionally suspended debt service. We had slow economic growth, with a GDP growth that averaged about 2.5% at the same time that population growth was 2.5%. So we continue to have stagnation. If you're growing at the same rate as your population, it means your income is not increasing per head, and therefore you're not moving in terms of your well-being. The quality of infrastructure services declined significantly, a problem with which we still live with today. In the 2000s now, we began to recover. Democracy came back, and we began to build a platform on which the economy could do better. We stabilized the economy in the 2000s, reduced inflation, obtained debt relief, did some key structural reforms which had been started in the 90s but discontinued. We picked them up again, privatizing certain sectors, unleashing the telecoms revolution, and undertaking consolidation of our banking sector. The economy rebounded with a growth rate of over 7%, and our GDP per capita rose to 1,437 by the end of the decade. But we were still left with the problem of unemployment and a high dependence on oil. And this is really what the transformation agenda is all about. Every decade, we talked about moving away from dependence on oil. But the transformation agenda is really about getting that done. So that is, in brief, 100 years of Nigeria's economic history, which you see is a very checkered one. So in the 2000s, we laid the foundation for this transformation that we're going through. And what is the transformation about? Let me say that it's about people. It's about creating jobs in key sectors. It's about creating wealth and eliminating poverty. It's about solving the problems that Nigerians worry about. It's a people-centered transformation. Let me just give you some examples, because when you talk about the economics, people's eyes glaze over, and they say they don't know what it really means for them. So what is contained in this book is, in very simple terms, what has been achieved in order to make the lives of Nigerians better. I'll just give some examples. With regard to roads, there are more than 32 road rehabilitation and construction projects that have been completed, and several more ongoing during this time. Let me just remind people of some examples. Since we reviewed them at midterm, it's worth reminding again. The Benin-Ore-Shagamu Road, the Abuja-Abaji-Lokoja Road, the Kano-Meduguri dualization, Onitsha-Owerri Expressway, Von-Manchok Road in Plateau State, the rehabilitation of Enugu-Port Harcourt Road, Katsina-Daura Road, Kano-Meduguri Road, Gombe-Numan Road. We have made progress on the Oweto Bridge, and the second Niger Bridge will soon be launched. Travel times have been reduced on key routes. For example, the journey from Benin to Lagos, I did it myself, took upwards of 9 hours in 2011. Today, it takes 3 to 4 hours to do it. What about our rail? Our rail lines were moribund for 15 years, and now, with some work has been done. The Western line from Lagos to Kano, 1,124 kilometers, completed and functional. The Eastern line, Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, 2 of 3 sections complete by the third quarter of 2014. Abuja Kaduna, the standard gauge line is 72% completed. Itakpe Ajokuta Warri standard gauge line will be complete by the end of 2014. We have procured 25 new locomotives. We have increased the number of passengers being carried from 5 million in 2009. Sorry, increased it by 80% from 2009 to 5 million in 2013. 200 communities are now connected by rail, and we are hauling freight, 500,000 metric tons of wheat, cement, laterite, and other heavy cargo, and 40 new oil tank wagons lifting petroleum products. We have dredged our inland waterways. The lower Niger from Barrow to Warri has been dredged, and the volume of cargo has increased from 2.9 million metric tons in 2011 to over 5 million metric tons now. The number of passengers traveling from 250,000 in 2011 to 1.3 million now. We have increased access to potable water. The current administration has completed 7 water supply projects, including Northern Asian Water Supply in Edo State, Mangu Water Treatment Plant in Plateau, Greater Makurdi Water Supply Scheme. We've over 4.3 million more Nigerians now have access to water as a result of these projects. 9 dams have been completed in Akwa Ibom, Katsina, Enugu, and Ondo states. And we've completed 10 irrigation projects and brought 175,000 hectares over under irrigation. In aviation, people can see the fruit of the work that is being done. The remodeling exercise in all 22 airports, 11 completed, 11 still in progress, many soon to be completed. And we have 5 international airports under construction in Enugu, Lagos, Kano, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. 6 airports have been designated as perishable cargo airports in proximity to food baskets in Makurdi, Yola, Jalingo, Lagos, and Ilorin and Jos. We have reviewed our safety policies in aviation, and we have launched policies that will reduce import duties and charges on aircrafts and spare parts in order to help the sector recover and be safer. On our ports, we've undertaken some reforms to reduce the number of agencies at the ports, improve the functioning, but we have not been as successful. In the ports, we move 1 step forward and 2 steps back, and we definitely need to focus on improving the functioning there. But I want to say that there's one thing we've done in our ports and our customs. For the first time, Nigeria is one of the first few developing countries in the world to take over destination inspection. Our customs service has now taken over all the inspection, and we no longer have foreign agencies inspecting for us. This is a landmark achievement. Yes, there are problems. We still need to perfect the system. We're still in a transition period, but I know, and we're working very hard to ensure that we facilitate trade with the new customs takeover. In power, we have completed the unprecedented privatization of all of our power sector except transmission. And we are going through a period of transition. We want the power supply to increase in our cities to 24 hours a day. Some of them are averaging 16 to 18. Some are getting much, much less. But when the transition is over, with the takeover of our power system, we will do much better in terms of average supply. We have to solve the problem of lack of gas to power. But that is also under consideration, and new projects are being launched. So we look forward, if we are growing this way, as is often said, when we don't have very much power, you can imagine what will happen when the transition is over and we have better power supply. Let me just talk about 1 or 2 sectors in this book, in the transformation agenda and what we're achieving. I'll just mention one or two examples. In agriculture, we've dramatically changed our thinking. As Mr. President and our Agriculture Minister often say, agriculture looked at as a business transforms the way you think about the sector and the way you act. One of the sweeping changes is the change in the way fertilizer and inputs are distributed to our farmers, much more successful now. 10.5 million farmers have been registered through the e-wallet system, and about 6.4 million have received subsidized inputs through this system. The corruption that was pervasive in that sector has been swept away, and we've saved 25 billion naira a year that was being lost in the corrupt procurement of fertilizers. We've increased rice production because farmers have better inputs, 1.1 million metric tons of dry season rice produced in 10 northern states for the first time, with attendant job creation. We are transforming the way we use cassava all along the value chain, and we have companies like Cargill investing here to transform cassava to starch and other food products. We promised you that we would increase food production by an extra 20 million metric tons by 2015. We are at 15 million metric tons. And we can see it in the decline of our food import bill, which has declined by almost 1 trillion naira, 906 billion to be exact, from 2.38 trillion naira in 2011 to 1.5 trillion by 2013, and you can check this in our trade statistics. So we are well on our way to fulfilling our promises. In the manufacturing sector, we are recovering. We've launched the National Industrial Revolution Plan with a focus on the value chain of several important subsectors where we have an advantage, economic advantage, to succeed. Agro-processing, from rice to sugar to other products, petrochemicals, automobile, textiles, and cement. These are 5 value chains that we are now working in. You've heard it, but I'll say it again, that Nigeria is now a net exporter of cement. We've expanded our cement output capacity from 2 million metric tons in 2002 to 28.5 million metric tons in 2013. And we are now exporting to other countries. By 2015, the capacity will be 39 million metric tons. Foreign investments are coming in all across the board. From fertilizer by Indorama, 1.2 billion investment. Procter & Gamble, that will soon open their new factory in Ogun State, a $250 million investment. SAB Miller's $100 million investment in a brewery in Onitsha, and I could go on and on. But our manufacturing sector is coming back, and it's coming back and designed to transform the sector. How about oil and gas? We have some major achievements. The construction of a gas pipeline from Oben to Geregu for the supply of gas has been completed. Construction of a pipeline from Itoki to Olorunshogo to supply gas has also been completed. We've reduced gas flaring from 25.3% in 2011 to about 20% in 2012 due to the efforts to implement our gas master plan. And we know that the issue of gas is still a problem, the actual supply. But progress is on, progress is being made, and as I said before, this is an issue which is under a laser beam now to solve the problem. The housing sector. We've never looked at housing before as a means of growth for the economy. For the first time in January 2014, His Excellency, Mr. President, launched the Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Company. What is the idea? This is something that will touch all Nigerians. Remember, I said this program is about people. The housing revolution is designed to provide mass housing for people at the lower end of the income scale, and affordable housing, and a mortgage system so that our young people can have hope. How can you live in a country and feel that never ever will you be able to own a house over your lifetime? If you want to purchase a house in this country, you have to have a lump sum, or you have to pay over 3 years, or if you're lucky, of 12 months. For the first time, we are putting in place a system that will enable people to borrow and have a mortgage and pay over 15 to 20 years at affordable rates. We are launching a system in which our lower income people will be able to rent or lease a house for 20 years and at the end of that rental, they'll own the house, because we are devising a rent-to-own and lease-to-own system. We are devising a system to help even poorer people who want to just add a toilet to their house, change the roof, or add an extra room, so that they can get a small loan of 100,000 naira, 50,000, to be able to do that at affordable rates. This is a revolution that is going to transform jobs within this economy, because it's going to touch plumbers, carpenters, painters, to touch the cement industry. It will touch so many industries across the board: interior decorators, architects, all of them, lawyers. Everyone will be involved in this revolution, and it's going to create hundreds of thousands of jobs. By the end of June this year, you will begin to see this launch. The Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Facility is already in place. It will begin to operate by the end of June. What about the communications technology? Let me just mention one or two things you may not know. We have constructed 500 kilometers of fiber optic cable to rural areas and established a total of 156 rural IT centers and 110 community communication centers. We've launched a venture capital fund of 15 million to start with for information communication businesses. Now we have phone subscriptions in this country, the number of phones at 121.8 million. Please remember that in 2002-2000, we only had about 450,000 landlines in this country. We are now at 122 million lines and counting. This is a real revolution. We have internet access has risen from 45 million Nigerians in 2011 to 57.8 million. The government is now delivering 50 services online, including immigration services, e-passport, patent registration, farmer registration, university entrance exam registration, customs forms, etc. Nigeria, our young people are seeing us move more and more into the communications technology age, and we must pursue this sector, and this transformation agenda has this as its center, because this is how we are going to touch our young people. In health, let me just mention quickly two things for which we were just commended by Professor Shoti Mehin, the Undersecretary and head of UNFPA. We have contained the type 3 wild polio virus with no recorded transmissions for more than 1 year. We want to eradicate this, and we are well on our way to doing that. We have eradicated guinea worm in this country. We used to affect the lives of over 800,000 Nigerians yearly. Now this is done. We have a program called Saving 1 Million Lives of Mr. President, where we've scaled up 6 cost-effective interventions, including nutrition, prevention of mother-to-child transmission of HIV/AIDS, malaria control, routine immunization, all of them bundled into one, and this is saving lives. We saved 433,650 lives, and we are on to the 1 million by 2015. Let me tell you something that is particularly important that we are doing in the health and education sector as well. We've launched experiments with conditional cash transfer programs. What does this mean? In 8 states, we're experimenting with giving cash to women who come in to have prenatal care, because our maternal mortality rate is one of the highest in the world. They come in, they get a cash transfer. They have an attended birth, they get a cash transfer. They bring the child in for immunization, they get a cash transfer. This is working. And with this system now working, we are going to spread it all over the states in part of a social welfare program. That is what we are doing, ladies and gentlemen. In education, we have serious problems. We have 10.6 million children out of school. And that is one of our biggest challenges, which we need to tackle. How are we doing this? We're experimenting with the same conditional cash transfer program in some states. In Kano, giving cash transfers for families to send their girls to school is working. Attendance of girls has increased by more than 40%. And we are going to continue this to be able to bring our states, as our children, our girls, into school, because educating girls and women will solve many of the problems we have in this country. It has been proven, if you want to solve your population growth problem, if you want to solve your nutrition problem for children, if you want your children to be better educated, you have to educate your girls and women. And this is what we are focusing on now. You educate your girls and women, you educate the nation. We've constructed special girls' schools in 13 states of the Federation and 125 are Marjorie schools to bring our children who are out of school into school. We've established 12 new universities to enhance access to tertiary education. And the special presidential program called PRESID, Presidential Special Scholarships for Innovation and Development, tries to encourage and incentivize our top young people in the country so that they can be the best and study in the best places. Our attention is now turning to the missing middle of vocational education, where we need skills for plumbers, carpenters, all those I mentioned before. If we are to take advantage of a housing revolution, we need to train heavily for this, and we are doing that. Not to mention every sector, but I can't forget sports. Because since this transformation agenda turned to sports, wonderful things have been happening. Let me just remind you, in case you've forgotten, that the Super Eagles won the 2013 Africa Cup of Nations after 19 years of drought, that the Golden Eaglets won the FIFA Under-17 World Cup in the UAE, that Nigeria placed first at the 2012 Senior African Athletics Championship in Porto Novo and emerged overall winner with 10 gold, 6 silver, and 5 bronze, that Nigeria also won the African Junior Athletics Championship, and that we are focused on what we are going to do in Brazil come this June, and what we are going to do in Brazil again in 2016. All these programs I've talked about, and I've not mentioned or have not gone into solid minerals or the creative industries. Our film industry, our children told us, is now the 3rd largest in the world, creating 200,000 jobs directly and 1 million jobs indirectly. We've not gone into all that. But last year alone, we created 1.6 million jobs out of all the programs that I mentioned to you. In agriculture, in manufacturing, we even through dedicated government programs like Shopee and You Win. You Win is a very popular program in this country where our own young people create jobs for themselves and for others. And they've created 27,000 jobs and counting. So 1.6 million jobs. Yes, this is not enough because we have 2 million new entrants into the job market every year. But 1.6 million makes a considerable difference in that. Now we know we need to do more. We need to work faster because the 2 big challenges still facing the Nigerian economy, and why many Nigerians say, what does this growth mean for me, is because we have inequality. As we've been growing, the society has become more unequal, and people are excluded at the bottom end of the ladder. The way that the transformation agenda is solving that is focusing very intently on jobs. We need to create the jobs for the 5.3 million people who are unemployed and the 13.6 million who are employed part-time. We need to create a social welfare program, and in this transformation, this people-centered program that will solve the issues of those at the bottom end of the ladder is very much at the center of the transformation. What about governance and anti-corruption? This is the conversation we have now, that the biggest challenge facing us is that we have corruption is a big problem in the country. Governance is a problem. We all talk about it. We admit it. And we need to make efforts. Fighting corruption is not only for the public sector, it's also for the private sector. It's also for each individual. And unless we all come together to do it, we will make inroads into the fight. But let me tell you, for people, when we talk about it, you also ought to ask, has anything been done? And we should not, in our cynicism and despair, forget that certain specific actions have been taken that have swept away corruption in certain sectors. I mentioned to you at the beginning what has been done in agriculture, where we are now gaining 25 billion naira a year as a result of the sweeping away of corruption in the supply of fertilizers. We have cleaned up our pension system. Please remember that our people who had worked and deserved to get a pension, they were having their money stolen because each year we were prevented from setting up the Pension Transition Administration Department as mandated in the pensions law to manage all of our pensions, police pension, Civil service.
Our land, where there's hope for us all. Oh, yeah. City's land, where there's hope for us all. We are all we have. We'll defend our land. We believe in this nation, and we know we'll get there. We are all we have. We'll defend our land. We believe in Nigeria and the promise she holds. And that one day we'll shine like the sun. Oh, we're a great nation. Great nation. Say, do we are many people, different tribes and different tongues, and we're united in our strength and resolve to uphold the honor of this land and for generations to come. And for generations to come. We are all we have. We'll defend our land. We believe in this nation, and we know we'll get there. We're all we have. We'll defend. Bless our children. We are all we have. We'll defend our land. We believe in this nation, Nigeria, and we know we'll get there someday. Can somebody say, so we'll defend. So we believe in Nigeria and the promise she holds, and that one day we will shine like the sun. From the north, south, east, and west. From the north, south, east, and west. So we'll defend our land. We will stand up for us. 'Cause this is home to us. We believe in this nation. And we know we'll get this song. Yeah. We'll defend our land. So we believe in Nigeria and the promises she holds for us, and that someday we will shine like the sun. We believe, yes, we believe. Let the whole world hear it. Nigeria is a great nation. Nigeria, a great nation. brighter and better days. Together we will make it strong and invincible. We are on our way. Oh yeah.
One nation, indivisible.
Nigeria, we will stand.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the Nigeria Centenary Honors and Awards in recognition of extraordinary service and commitments to Nigeria in the areas of entrepreneurship and endeavor, personal sacrifice, patriotism and activism, governance, politics and leadership.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, those two songs set the tone for us tonight. Tonight, we are set to honor those, especially our former heads of state, that have made not this nation to only stand tall, but to believe in this wonderful country. To them, they have enthroned a leadership that created brave hearts, wielding the weapons of truth and justice, draping our nation in honesty and dedication with a deep sense of duty and passion. And as a result, they've ensured over the years the unity and indivisibility of our nation. So, Your Excellencies, to kick off the awards tonight, I'd like to welcome here a man that is readily transforming our nation in modern times. Let me welcome the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to please step to the podium as we present the awards to our former heads of government. Thank you very much. In this category of our former heads of state and presidents that have ensured the unity and indivisibility of our nation, let me welcome here with deep respect General Yakubu Gowon, GCFR, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, Alhaji Shehu Shagari, GCFR, General Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, GCFR, Chief Ernest Shunekon, GCFR, and General Abdulsalami Abubakar, GCFR. Is it possible as they step to the podium to actually acknowledge and respect them with presidential round of applause, please? These are worthy leaders. Today, our nation is transforming, ascending to the pinnacle of matchless prosperity because of their courage, sacrifice, and service to the nation. Your Excellency, standing before you is the very history of our nation. Everyone contributing one brick, one block, one cement to the building of the structure called Nigeria. Your Excellencies, we appreciate you. Thank you very much. And as our heads of state and former president step down, I'd like to invite my colleague Mujima Konjola to step forward here for the next category.
Can we keep the applause going? Can we keep the applause going? The truism of Nigeria in rare display. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, also in this category, but are recognized posthumously, are, and I request that their representatives please come up to the stage. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, General JTU Agui Ironsi, General Murtala Muhammad, General Sani Abacha, President Umaru Musa Adua, and also lined up to receive and be recognized for his exceptional role and personal sacrifice in the enthrallment of the current democratic dispensation, Chief MKO Abiola. I'll run through the list again. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, General JTU Agui Ironsi, General Murtala Muhammad, General Sani Abacha, President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, and Chief MKO Abiola. Number one is Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. This category are those recognized posthumously. Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, General JTU Agui Ironsi, General Sani Abacha, President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, Chief MKO Abiola. General Murtala Muhammad. Another round of applause. They did not die in vain. After the group photograph with His Excellency, Mr. President, let us keep the applause going, that even in their graves, if they can look back, they will be proud of tonight and the role that they all have played to keep Nigeria one. The next special category, in recognition of your outstanding patriotism and exceptional defense to the unity and integrity of Nigeria as a nation, I humbly call on General T.Y. Danjuma. Also in this category, in recognition of his role as a foremost diplomat and the only African Secretary General of the Commonwealth, who played a prominent role in the liberation of Zimbabwe and South Africa, Chief Emeka Anyaoku.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate them. One a soldier, one a diplomat, both serving the nation wholeheartedly, with dedication, with vision, with dynamism, with passion, with patriotism. The two of them wonderful Nigerians as we celebrate 100 years. Thank you very much for service to nation. Says, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the next category is in the area of contribution to the making of Nigeria. And we have three personalities here, but one person will collect on their behalf. Her Royal Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, in recognition of her support for granting of independence to Nigeria on the 1st of October 1960. Frederick John Deltre Lugard, in recognition of his role in facilitating the amalgamation of Nigeria, and Dame Flora Luther Shaw for the creativity in coming up with the name Nigeria. We have the British High Commissioner to Nigeria stepping forward to collect this award. It's a three-in-one thing, collecting on behalf of the three of them. And our love and regards to Her Royal Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II. Thank you very much. And now we'll move to the next category, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. And this will be the heroes of the struggle for Nigeria's independence, especially our pioneer political leaders. First here will be Herbert Samuel Healers Macaulay. Chief Jeremiah Bafami Awulo GCFR, Sir Amadu Bello, Professor Eyo Ita, Jaja Nwachukwu, and the man His Excellency the President referred to earlier, Pa Michael Imodu, Nigeria's #1 labor leader, Chief Anthony Nahoro, Chief Joseph Taka, Malam Aminu Kano, Margaret Udoeko, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, and Hajia Gambo Sawaba. Wonderful. Is it possible to let the round of applause continue? They have helped in building, molding, nourishing, and evolving the nation that we call Nigeria, that is now going through a transformation agenda, changing every sector of our national life. Some of them sons and daughters and wives of these great Nigerians. The first one is Herbert Samuel Macaulay. Chief Jeremiah Obafemi Awulo GCFR, represented there by the daughter. Service to nation runs in the family. Sir Amadu Bello, Professor Eyo Ita, Jaja Nwachukwu, that's Amadu Bello's son. Grandson. Thank you. Professor Eyo Ita. Okay. Jaja Nwachukwu.
Warmly welcome these distinguished Nigerians to this part of the hall where they will meet His Excellency Mr. President for their deserved recognition tonight. Chief Stanley Olabode Way, Justice Albert Udo Udoma, Sir Adetokunbo Adegboyega Ademola, Dr. Taslim Oluwale Elias, Dr. Taslim Oluwale Elias, Dr. Rilwan Lukman, Alhaji Ibrahim Dasuki, no. Alhaji Aliyu Mai Borno, Professor Akinlawo Ladipo Mabogunje, in this category, in recognition of your outstanding contribution and pioneering role in the formation of the land reform program of the federal government. Professor Akinlawon Ladipo Mabogunje. Professor Akinlawon Ladipo Mabogunje, Dr. Barnabas Sonyaolu Oloruntoba, Honorable Justice Mariam Aloma Mukhtar, GCON. This is a very proud moment for Nigerian women, and I think all the women in the House should give a very loud round of applause. Mr. President has said women can do it. He has matched words with action. Professor Akinlawon Ladipo Mabogunje. And Dr. Barnabas Sonyaolu Oloruntoba. Honorable Justice Mariam Aloma Mukhtar. Next is Professor Akinlawon Ladipo Mabogunje. Dr. Barnabas Sonyaolu Oloruntoba. Congratulations to you all. Iberi takes the next set of recipients.
Congratulations indeed. Thank you very much for service to fatherland. Thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the next set of awards will be in the category of pioneers in professional calling and career. First is Chief Christopher Shakwara Williams, the first indigenous Nigerian lawyer. Vice Admiral Joseph Edet Akinwole Way, in recognition of his distinct achievement as the first indigenous commander of the Nigerian Navy. Brigadier General George Kurubo, recognition of his distinct achievement as the first indigenous commander of the Nigerian Air Force. Louis Orok Edet, the first indigenous Inspector General of Nigerian Police. And we have a monument, the Louis Edet House, to honor this great Nigerian. We have their children, some of them that are posthumous. Major General Abdullahi Muhammad, first Director General of the National Security Organization. Professor Thomas Adeoye Lambo, for his wonderful work in psychiatry and up to the World Health Organization. Professor Kenneth Onwuka-Dike, Professor of History and first indigenous principal of the University College Ibadan. Chinyere Kalu, for his distinct achievement as the first female pilot in Nigeria. Brigadier General Dr. Oviemo Veje, for his achievement as inventor of Eat Set, a device for saving pregnant women with internal bleeding. And Professor Grace Alele Williams, the foremost Nigerian scholar in curriculum studies and first female vice chancellor of Nigerian University. Major General Abdullahi Mohammed, a wonderful servant of this country. We appreciate you, sir. The first Director General of the Nigerian Security Organization, Professor Thomas Adoye Lambo, Professor Kenneth Onwuka Dike, and the first female pilot in Nigeria is here. Please welcome Chinyere Kalu. Congratulations, helping to fly the nation on the wings of excellence. As I welcome Brigadier General Dr. Ovieno Veje. Thank you for helping prevent pregnant women from internal bleeding. We appreciate you. And now, mathematics is her game. Academics have failed. Professor Grace Alale Williams.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Let's keep the applause going. It's a night of celebration. The next category for awardees are Heroes in Global Sports Competition. Proudly, I'd like to recognize Madam Chioma Ajua in recognition of your distinct role as the first Nigerian individual Olympic gold medalist in long jump. He plays good football and also looks after the heart of the children. Nwankwo Kanu, in recognition of your distinguished achievement as the most decorated individual footballer in Nigeria. Richard Ihetu, alias Dick Tiger, in recognition of your outstanding contribution as the first Nigerian professional boxer to win the world boxing titles in the middleweight and the light heavyweight categories. Chief Michael Okpala, Power Mike, in recognition of your outstanding contribution to global sports. And Monday Ochuko Emegwe, in recognition of your outstanding contribution as the most successful Paralympian in the history of Nigeria. Madam Chioma Ajowa, in recognition of your distinct role as the very first Nigerian individual Olympic gold medalist. Can I hear it for the women in the house? Power mic. Kano is represented, I hear, by his younger brother. Very distinguished Monday Ochuko Emegwe, in recognition of your outstanding contribution as the most successful Paralympian in the history of Nigeria. Demonstrating there that there can be ability in disability. Thank you, Your Excellency. The next category are accomplished contemporary entrepreneurs. Proudly, I'd like to call on Alhaji Aliko Mohammed Dangote in recognition of your outstanding contribution to the industrial and entrepreneurial development in Nigeria. Next, Chief Mike Adenuga, in recognition of your contribution as a distinguished entrepreneur and major employer of labor in the telecommunications sector. Next is Chief Dr. Innocent Chukwuma, in recognition of your role as the first indigenous local vehicles manufacturer in Nigeria and employer of labor. They fall within the precinct of what this government says that there must be private-public mix. Congratulations, Alhaji Aliko Mohammed Dangote. Next, Chief Michael Adenuga, in recognition of your contribution as a distinguished entrepreneur and major employer of labor in the telecommunications sector. Please welcome with me Chief Dr. Innocent Chukwuma, in recognition of your role as the first indigenous local vehicles manufacturer in Nigeria and employer of labor.
Congratulations. All of them, they are major global players. Only tonight, Timi Dakolo and YJ came to sing. They're also global ambassadors. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, very quickly I'll go to the next category, which is pioneers in commerce and industry. The first one here was the founding president of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Please welcome his representative, Luis Odimegu Ojukwu. Also in this category is a man whose outstanding achievement in business made him the wealthiest businessman of his time. I'd like to welcome here, with trading activities covering the entire West Africa, Alhaji Al-Hassan Dantata. And then we have, in recognition of his outstanding contribution as one of the pioneer industrialists and manufacturers in Nigeria, Chief Adeola Odutola. We welcome them now. Louis Odimegwu Ojukwu, Alhaji Alhassan Dantata, and Chief Adeola Odutola. We welcome you. And so I'm very sure, and I'm convinced the man that is going forward is Representative Alhaji Alhassan Dantata. You can step forward now. Chief Adeola Odutola, the representative, is also here. The pioneer industrialist and manufacturer in Nigeria. Thank you very much. Let's appreciate them. We thank you. Next is an award for distinguished academic work. First here will be Professor Benjamin Oluwakayode Osuntokun, a former scholar and researcher in tropical neurology in Nigeria. Professor Benjamin Oluwakayode Osuntokun. Also, Professor Kelsey Harrison, the first Nigerian to obtain a higher doctorate, DSc, in medicine. He's also a foremost black scholar in obstetrics and gynecology, Professor Kelsey Harrison. Professor Chike Obi, in recognition of his outstanding achievement as Nigeria's most prolific mathematician of the 20th century. Professor Dagogo Fubara, the first black man to obtain a PhD and also become a professor of geology. Welcome you. Professor Jacob Festus Adiajayi, the foremost Nigerian historian who wrote the book that was used to mark Nigeria's independence in 1960, titled Milestones in Nigerian History. Professor Claude Ake, Professor Aliu Babatunde Fafunwa, Professor Gordon Olu Patiko Basse, and Professor Umaru Shehu. So we'll start from the very beginning. The foremost scholar and researcher in tropical neurology, Professor Benjamin Oluwakayode Osuntokun. Represented here tonight. Next is Professor Kelson Harrison, the first Nigerian to bag a DSc in medicine. Congratulations to you, sir. Professor Chike Obi, Nigeria's most prolific mathematician, represented here tonight. And Professor Dagogo Fubara, is Professor of Geodesy, obtained PhD in it, and the first professor to do that. First black man indeed, really. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations, Professor. Professor Jacob Festus Adeajayi, foremost historian, wrote a book in 1960, Milestones in Nigerian History. Professor Claude Ake, that's the man that postulated the theory of political integration. Thank you. Professor Aliu Babatunde Fafunwa, known for the development of education and a foremost educationist in Nigeria, and Professor Gordon Olu Patrick Obasi. And now finally in this category, Professor Umaru Shehu, the most distinguished specialist in community medicine in Nigeria, still strong, still serving, still healing, still curing people. We say thank you to you for service to fatherland.
Congratulations. The next awardees are those who have distinguished themselves in the world of the media. Internationally acclaimed artists, literary icons, and journalists. Your Excellency, I start with Michael Taiwo Akikumi in recognition of your outstanding achievement for designing the national flag of Nigeria. Next awardee in this category is Professor Wale Soyinka in recognition of your distinct achievement as the first Black laureate to win the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1986. In recognition of your outstanding contribution to the development of modern African literature, Nigeria today recognizes Professor Chinua Achebe. Also, in this category is Professor John Pepper Clark, in recognition of your outstanding contribution to the development of modern African literature. We also have on this category Cyprian Odiatu Duaka Ekwensi. Alhaji Abubakar Imam, in recognition of your distinct achievement as a leading Hausa literary icon in Nigeria. Daniel O. Fagunwa, also in recognition of your distinct contribution as the author of the first novel written in Yoruba land and one of the first in any African language. Ernest Seisi Ikoli, in recognition of your pioneering role in the development of journalism in Nigeria. Also, on the list of these awardees is Alhaji Ismail Babatunde Jose. Start with Michael Taiwo Akikumi, in recognition of your outstanding achievement for designing the national flag of Nigeria. Professor Wale Shoyinka, Professor Chinua Achebe, Professor John Pepper Clark, Professor John Pepper Clark, in recognition of your outstanding contribution to the development of modern African literature. Cyprian Odiatu Duaka Ekwensi, also in recognition of your contribution to the development of modern African literature. Next, I'd like to call on Alhaji Abubakar Imam in recognition of your distinct achievement as a leading Hausa literary icon in Nigeria. Daniel O. Fagunwa, an accomplished, and this recognition is for your distinct contribution as the author of the first novel written in Yoruba language and one of the first in any African language. Ernest Seisi Ikoli, in recognition of your pioneering role in the development of journalism in Nigeria. Alhaji Baba Ismail Babatunde Joseph. Congratulations to you all, and I think it is worthy of note that the Minister of FCT, a journalist himself, helping Mr. President to recognize these distinguished Nigerians who have made their mark in the media world. Another round of applause for them.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the next category is in the area of sacrifice and patriotism. The first in this category is Chief Gani Fawenyimi, SAN, in recognition of his human rights work and development of legal education. And also in this category is Michael Chukwugeku Ihuka, in recognition of his outstanding bravery and display of patriotism and heroism in saving a child's life. Can we bring Ihuka forward, please? The two recipients in this category are Chief Gani Fawenyimi, SAN, and Michael Ihuka. Congratulations, Michael, for saving a girl's life, displaying very uncommon patriotism and heroism. I welcome you. Congratulations. Our final category tonight is an area of exemplary service and the promotion of peace and moral excellence. First is Sir Abubakar Siddiq III, in recognition of his contribution as a foremost promoter of peaceful coexistence and religious harmony in Nigeria. Sheikh Abubakar Mahmoud Gumi, for Islamic scholarship and promotion of Western education through his teachings and preaching in northern Nigeria. Blessed Cyprian Michael Tansey, the only and first Nigerian Catholic priest to be beatified. Pastor Enoch Adejare Adeboye. The applause shows you the number of lives the man of God has touched. And then Sheikh Dahiru Usman Bauchi. So we'll start from the very beginning. Sir Abubakar Sadiq III. Sheikh Abubakar Mahmoud Gumi. Blessed Cyprian Michael Tansey. I remember his beatification held in Oba and Kubwa in Nigeria several years ago. Pastor Enoch Adejare Adeboye. Tonight represented, he is the head of the largest Pentecostal church in Nigeria, which has brought hope and succor to millions of Nigerians. And finally, Sheikh Dahiru Usman Bauchi. He is a foremost advocate of religious peace and tolerance in Nigeria.
Congratulations again. We'll move back slowly and steadily and win in the race. I think Mr. President deserves a round of applause at this point in time. Thank you. Our literary icons and journalists are hereby recognized. I'd like to quickly call on Kenneth Inebue in recognition of your significant contribution in pioneering the home video industry in Nigeria. Still with entertainment in the media, please welcome with me Patience Ozokwo in recognition of your outstanding contribution to the development of Nigeria's home video and the Nollywood industry in general. Alhaji Dr. Mamman Shatta Katsina, in recognition of your outstanding pioneering role as the most renowned Hausa growth musician in Nigeria, as well as the West and Northeast Africa. Herbert Adedeji Ogunde, in recognition of your distinguished achievement as the first founder of professional theatrical company in Nigeria. Wait for this. Fela Anikulapo Kuti, in recognition of your exceptional contribution and pioneering effort in popularizing the Afrobeat music internationally. Stephen Osita Osadebe, Also in recognition of your outstanding contribution to popularizing the high life music in Nigeria. Dr. Ladi Dossier Kwali, in recognition of your distinct contribution as the first indigenous person to combine traditional and foreign technology in poetry. Ben Enwowu, in recognition of your outstanding contribution as the first professor of fine arts for the development of the fine arts industry. And on this list, finally, Oludotun Jacobs, in recognition of your pioneering role in the establishment of the film industry in Nigeria. First, I'd like to call on Kenneth Nebwe in recognition of your significant contribution in pioneering the home video industry in Nigeria. Patience Ozokwo, recognized tonight for your outstanding contribution to the development of Nigeria's home video and the Nollywood industry in general. Alhaji Dr. Mamman Chata Katsina, in recognition of your outstanding pioneering role as the most renowned Hausa musician in Nigeria, as well as West and Northeast Africa. Hubert Adedeji Ogunde, Fela Anikulapo Kuti, Stephen Osita Osadebe, Dr. Ladi Dosia Kwali, in recognition of your distinct contribution as the first indigenous person to combine traditional and foreign technology in pottery. Ben Enwowu, next, Oludotun Jacobs, in recognition of your pioneering role in the establishment of the film industry in Nigeria.
Congratulations. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my colleague Mujima Konjola said we should give the President a round of applause. Can we do that now? Very deeply. They said those who water should also be watered. So a 10-year-old Nigerian girl is saying backstage, and she has a very special present to Mr. President. As I invite Ayomikun Omoyola, she's 10 years old. She's a primary school pupil. She's Nigeria's youngest peace ambassador. And she goes through her advocacy for peace using her artworks. That's a young lady. She's a bit tired. She was explaining this painting earlier in the day, but she will just be handing over to Mr. President, and her teacher will speak on her behalf.
Happy Centenary celebration to everybody. I present to us Ayomikun Omoyola, a 10-year-old girl, did a painting titled, United We Stand. United we stand. United we stand. As you can see in the painting here, we see 4 people here, all dressed in different attires, one from the eastern part of the country, one from the southern part of the country, one from the western part of the country, one from the northern part of the country, all with their hands joined in unity. And above these figures, we have Nigerian flag flying, and also above it, we have fruits, and we have fur doves with flags of Nigeria on their beaks. So what is the meaning of this painting? The dark color represents the challenges we're facing in Nigeria, such as terrorism, insecurity, disparity, tribalism, nepotism. And above it here, we are seeing also these paintings, the dove here, represent peace in the north, in the south, in the west, and the other part of the country. Then the fruit here, sir, represent the prosperity of Nigeria, the prosperity in our economy. So Ayomikun this evening, on behalf of Nigeria children, is presenting this painting, United We Stand, to the president. Know this evening, that anywhere you go in the world, keep Nigerian flag flying so high. You are the Nigeria. We are the Nigeria. Every one of us, we are the Nigeria. Thank you very much, sir. Hold it.
This is no longer art for art's sake. This is art for national harmony and peace. Ayomikun, thank you very much. I'm sure it's gone past your bedtime. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Can we appreciate Mr. President as he goes down, please, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you. Much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we are gradually bringing this unique epoch-making event to a close, I'd like to invite here one of the men that have worked very hard to put all of this together alongside several other people. He is the Honorable Minister for Mines and Steel Development. He understands the strength and the architecture of this whole event, for he is a professional architect. Please welcome here Architect Musa Mohammed Sada to move the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Your Excellency, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dame Patience Jonathan. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Architect Mohammed Namadi Sambo, Your Excellencies, visiting heads of governments, Your Excellencies, the former heads of governments of Nigeria, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I beg to stand on existing protocol for want of time. Mr. President, it is indeed a great honor and privilege for me to stand here before you and these distinguished, eminent Nigerians to give this vote of thanks on this very, very historic occasion. You'll agree with me all that today is indeed one day in the history of this country that will stand to be remembered, that Nigeria really, truly appreciates being together as one country. Your Excellency, Mr. President, distinguished attendees and our guests, tonight's event is very unique in all respects. It is therefore appropriate for me to first thank Almighty God, for the creator of heaven and earth, for giving us the privilege to hold this event. I must also express our profound appreciation to Mr. President Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR, for his wisdom, direction, and support, without which this award ceremony would not have come to be. I also would like to thank and acknowledge the support and guidance of the Vice President, Architect Mohamed Namadi Sambo, for his guidance and direction, who also always wants us to make sure that this event is a success. In the same vein, I would like to acknowledge the enormous contribution of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator Ayum Faiz IMGCON, the Chairman of the Presidential Committee on the Centenary Celebration, Senator Bala Abdulkadir Mohammed, as well as other chairmen and members of the various subcommittees that work in putting this occasion together. Mr. President, kindly permit me in a special way to acknowledge the contributions of many partners in the private sector for their immense goodwill that led to the success of this celebration. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, indeed, many companies and organizations worked assiduously to ensure that the centenary celebration come to a successful fruition. These individuals and organizations had in earnest latched on to the need for us to celebrate our existence in the last 100 years as a great country. We remain grateful to them all. Very importantly, Your Excellencies, I would like to thank and acknowledge the presence of our most distinguished recipients of this Centenary Award, who are the flag bearers of the country. Your contributions to the evolution, unity, and development of our dear country, Nigeria, cannot be overemphasized. We cannot thank you enough for all you have done, and especially your presence here tonight. At this point, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to also thank all our invited guests, gentlemen of the press, and those who in one way or the other contributed towards making this event a success. Finally, as we depart tonight, permit me, Your Excellency, to remind us all of the need to remain patriotic, steadfast, and committed to the unity, progress, development, and peaceful coexistence of our dear country, Nigeria. I thank you, good night, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before the national anthem, Your Excellencies, very distinguished and